hello everybody, and welcome to our UK Zoom call. It's just me here today. Gwen has no dreams, and unfortunately, Peter has taken rather ill. So I greet you all and welcome you all here today. And well, I'll let Pearce speak first if he so wishes to do so.
Yeah, hiya, Kevin. Yeah, okay, I'll go first. Hi, everyone. The view I've been getting, it's basically, it's what I was seeing before. I haven't been seeing the spiders. I haven't seen no spiders. But what I have seen is Duane. Basically, it was huge. It was bigger than what I've seen him before, and it was working in the, like I said before, it was like working in the arms of the spiral arms of the galaxy. And it's like the view was different this time. It was like Duane was in it, but it was massive. It was really huge, and it was like, you know how you control a smartphone with a pinch. Like you pinch it and it goes in and it goes out. The size goes like that, and that's what it was doing basically. I had a view of his hand, and one hand, and it was all. Well, it was obviously it was Duane's, and it was just like it was like, you know, if you see like a life, I think it's called a lithograph. What they do illustrations on. And it was like pulling them back. There was loads of them, many. There was loads, and it was pulling these lithographs back. Like obviously the view of whatever it was, but I got three. Well, I got a name. I got not really a name. It's just I got Alpha, Draconis, and Thurban, and that's what I got. That's the view I had, and I've had it multiple times this week. And it's like when Duane is like, it's like, I think it's called lithograph, and it's like a translucent paper, and it's like he pulls it like it's a picture, and he pulls it back, and it's with his finger and his nail, and he's pulling on it, and then it's just there's hundreds and hundreds of them. And it's like the impression I'm getting is like he's trying to pull back the distortions around this place or something. But they know as well. They know he's doing it. They know his presence is there. And yeah, I've got that all week. And then this morning, I just had a quick New Year. And I was like, I had a different view, and it was like the sky, and I just seen like clouds, and then like I seen three guides, and it was one of them was waving, the other one was laughing, the other one had his thumbs up, and it was obviously it was backed by like the brightest light, the golden white light, and it was just a cloud. It was just like it was on the cloud. There was like you'd imagine like the angels or something. There was up on the clouds. Couldn't see the whole bodies, just half of the bodies, like it was coming up from behind the cloud, and it was really bizarre. Gopal, and I've never seen I think it, the one Yabble Sakaba, and it was them, and I've seen them three this morning, and one of them gave me a salute. That was Yabble. Gopal had his thumb out, like gave me the thumbs up, and Rebazar was like laughing. It was just like really laughing, but it was like it was holding himself. I couldn't really see all of him, because it was only a view of like half of the bodies or whatever. And that's the view I had this morning, and that's it. That's all. That's what I've seen. I haven't seen no spiders, but I've seen Duane doing stuff. Yeah, Kevin, that's what I've done. That's what I've seen, Duane. Thank you, Kevin.
Mr. Pearce, could you write that down? Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much. And yes, we are making adjustments. So, as things come to be here, so it's part of the big surprise. Yeah, because there's a lot of distortion everywhere. So yeah, thank you so much. Whatever they're showing you, yeah, but please write that down. Thank you, and send it along.
Yeah, I will do. I'll put it in after the chat. No problem.
Yeah,
All right, Kevin.
thank you. Go ahead.
Brilliant. All right, thank you. Back to you, Kevin, mate.
Okay, and as I understand it, Henry, Eric, and Karah have some dreams they wish to share. So, take it away, guys.
Okay, yeah, I'll read something here. So this is an experience I wrote down a while ago. So I was hearing Duane while looking down from the top of a steep mountain, and I was about to run down it. I was slightly apprehensive when I heard Duane say, "You must take the risk to see more, then you will leave that scared part of yourself behind and you will become more aware." So I took the huge leap over the edge and began running down the steep mountain. I was going so fast, it felt like I was flying up and down over the grassy, bumpy mountainside. As I hit the ground, I pushed off, going super fast, hundreds of meters ahead of me before touching the ground again. I did this down to the plateau below until I reached a small ridge by the ocean where I slowed down. Standing on the ridge, I was seeing a small cove below to my left where gnomes, smurfs, fairies, and other creatures lived in a small village. Sorry, someone needs to mute. There we went into, where was I? I walked to the stony beach at the edge of the village where I saw Duane and Kelsey. We all floated up into the air, and a few fairies followed us as we flew over the ocean side of the town to the cliffs on the other side of the cove. There we went down into the water where there were so many colorful, shiny fish, mermaids, mermen, dolphins, otters, turtles, and other cool creatures that I haven't seen anything like on Earth. 2 mermaids and a merman showed us the way to a castle inside the cliff wall some 80 meters below the water's surface. There Duane kept talking on the Skype call while answering Charles's questions for the Africa Skype. As we entered a giant room where there were thousands of mermaids, mermen, dolphins, and some other humanoid-looking beings, where they were all waiting to hear Duane talk about the Aulas and the real universes. I looked around the room, which was made from pink and purple crystals with diamond chandeliers hanging from the ceiling, and Duane went to the front of the stage and kept speaking while everybody paid close attention to the words he was saying. All in attendance wanted a real education and real guidance. I floated and swam around the giant room as Duane continued to answer Charles's earthly questions, which all the creatures could relate to according to the personal lives they had decided. For the remainder of the Skype call, I had fun moving my awareness from that cool place back to my physical body, seeing how I could position my attention in either place. So that was fun. It's kind of self-explanatory, and I wanted to share one more experience I had this week. I haven't written it down, but I was like in some really poor area, and I was helping like a poor rural area in, like Latin America, and I was helping this guy sell his produce, and he was really, really grateful for me to be there assisting him because he's like trying to support his whole family, and he doesn't usually have any help. And I was just there, and so I was just happy to support him and do something. And it didn't last too long, but it was like I was being shown that the public consciousness or the mass unawareness, they really need our help and assistance, and wherever we're at, we can do something to support these people. And so once I recognized that, I moved my awareness, and I was in, somewhere like Russia or in Ukraine visiting this guy we know over there. And as I got there, I saw Duane was talking to him about, what we're doing. And so I listened in for a little while in their conversation, and then Duane left and he walked through some doors into a portal or a spaceship. And then I talked to the guy Russian fellow for a little while about his projects. He had all this technology stuff there on the real side that he was working with and doing things with that may or may not be useful in the future. And so he was showing me that, and then I was telling him about our rainforest projects and that he can send me anything that he's learned that will assist us with that. And he asked me to stay there and assist him. I said that I got things to do in Huntington Beach, and so I walked into the portal that Duane had just walked into. So yeah, that's all from me today, guys. So I think Erick had something fun to share too.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to share this experience. I had a couple of days ago, an adventure I called The Lady and the Lake. To begin, I awoke covered in old thick blankets, looking at the white ceiling of a decrepit and rusted rundown school bus. To greet me were two small spiders slowly spinning their webs and descending towards where I lay. I pulled the blankets back over my head, breathed, and pulled them back down. The spiders were gone. I promptly decided to leave this old bus. Most of the windows of the bus were glassless, so I clambered out of one and landed onto the soil. I noticed then I was in a verdant green forest with lush, vibrant trees surrounding me, and I sensed this forest was high upon a mountain. It was breathtaking and beautiful, and I realized that I was in a much higher realm than the one I had just come from. But which one in particular, I couldn't say for sure. Surely one realer than this physical one I'm sharing from now. I say realer, and that's quite honestly one of the only words to describe it. If you've experienced the comparison between this physical realm and other levels of life in this creation or another, then you know what I mean. There's so much more life and freedom to these places. It's truly wonderful. I decided to explore. I had been missing the forest since moving to California, and life wonderfully allowed me to experience one greater than I ever have before. My real awareness knew that to stay in this beautiful realm for the duration of the experience my personal self needed, I had to calmly just go with it, not consider things like the personal self likes to do or force staying there. I knew this intuitively, so I decided to just go with it. I began walking along the forest path, looking around me at all the wonderfulness. Then I caught a glimpse of a light shining off a body of water. I knew it was the ocean. I suddenly wanted to go to the ocean very strongly. I don't recall ever seeing a wonderful ocean on the real side. My personal self knows that there's a chance it's the ocean of light and sound of the isthmus, and I was going to try to catch a glimpse of it. I began moving a little faster, bounding along the ground. I decided to follow a stream, and it took me to a muddy lake of sorts. I was jumping from rock to rock when I noticed something with my real awareness. There was a beautiful fellow free being of real light talking to me, to my real awareness. I saw a vision of her as I was walking along, and she was sharing so much information with me. Her appearance was that of a young, beautiful black woman with luscious, long braids, dark, piercing, almost almond-shaped eyes. She had a wonderful smile and laugh, and she kind of reminded me of a rabbit. I was curious who this being that was sharing so much information with me was. But for now, and for the listening audience, I'll just call her Wenu. While I was standing on a large stone in the middle of the muddy lake, I considered I could just fly myself to the ocean and be there in no time. That's when I noticed I was still wearing socks. I thought that was kind of silly. I pulled them off and realized I was just wearing jeans too. Well, no matter. I began to lift myself off the stone. This is when Wenu shared with me the only bit of information I can completely recall at the moment. And she said, "You must establish the real connection down there first, and then you can begin to earn your way into the real universes." I was watching her in my real awareness when she said this as I was walking along. This next bit is funny, but of course I didn't find it so amusing while I was in the realm. I promptly fell down into the muddy lake, and started sinking very slowly. I pounded my fist in frustration and caught glimpses of the ocean again and underneath the water. I calmed down and realized I still had a ways to go and a lot to learn with my endless real adventure. And I'm super grateful for this experience. Now, I wrote out some more points to this experience and what they demonstrated and what I kind of saw from them. The first point is when I was waking up covered in old blankets and in the old broken down school bus with the two spiders, I see that the school bus represents knowledge, and in this case, it was rusted and old. And so in this case, old, outdated knowledge. The blankets I was covered in represents how the personal self wraps ourselves up in all of this old, outdated stuff that we're taught and conditioned for lifetimes. And I see the two spiders represent how this old, outdated knowledge is now like a trap that enwraps us and keeps us trapped in the lower two levels of cause and effect creation. The forest was not only wonderful and beautiful, but it was alive. And it was a very straightforward demonstration of the aliveness that life is. It's easier to see this when you have another experience to compare it to, like, say, being trapped in a city or a mall like I've had many times. There was the awesome knowingness of my real awareness and all the impressions it allowed me. And then being in another realm, exploring and viewing and being accompanied by an awesome being. And I'm super grateful for this. To elaborate on what Lady Wenu shared with me about establishing the real connection down here, she was referring to the physical realm. You, the personal self, must establish the real connection in this physical realm first. In this current time frame, we do this by singing the new you and by sharing all the real knowledge and real guidance that we're given with the whole world. And of course, reading the new book so you have the proper references. And learning how to support the all-natural environment that supports you. Thank you. That's all from me.
Do you want to share, Karah?
I've been wanting to share this for a while now. It's a dream from my brother. He sang the new you, and I just want to see what Duane sees. I did share it with Erick Oak too, and it makes a lot of sense. But so the dream was my brother sang the new you, and he woke up on a cruise ship by himself. He was laying on his back, and then looking up into the sky. It was nighttime, and he saw a bunch of green northern lights around. And then in the sky, he noticed that there was a big flying turtle, like the size of a school bus. It was just floating in the sky. And then the turtle went to go pick up my brother and put him on the turtle's back. And then the turtle just went roaming and flying with him, and my brother rode its shell. So he was really excited about that experience, and he wanted me to share that on his behalf. Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful. You kids write those down. And yes, Henry's experience and Erick, very good how you see that. And yeah, and your brother there, well, he was on a little voyage and he was grounded, and he got an experience. So how does he see that, Karah? How does he see that?
He saw it as really thrilling and exciting, and he felt very euphoric and high on life, and he wanted to go back.
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course. And this is what we first do, kind of like when we're coming into this life here and we're young and we go through all these experiences, we're all excited. And eventually, as we go through experiences, things show up, and we decide through those experiences how to pay attention or not, you see. So again, as we're doing this, most of the world isn't paying attention. It's because we've been infiltrated by distortion. And so that's the challenge there. So yes, the first part is the thrill, but also that this is where many people, they do a lot of astral projection and they do these out of the body things and whatever, which is all fine, but having a direction and seeing more also. Otherwise, you just stay in one particular realm, but this starts it off as what it does. And so I'm going to go back to Henry's experience here, and this is the idea of getting out there and talking to the public in some way, because the world is really, really asleep. And yes, just like Pearce said, they see what we're doing on the real side. They know what's going on. This is why the fires in California, like where I am, and everything that's going on in the world, they're gradually and actually rapidly destroying things because they're very upset. So to get out there and to take the risk, talk to the public, create something like Henry and Erick and Kelsey have now. They have the water business. They're going out there. They're talking to the businesses, etc. That's an excuse to go out there and support themselves, etc. But at the same time, the bigger picture is because everything is free will here and it's imploding on itself. So yes, we have the real side experiences, but we also want to take a look at what's taking place here because it's a big effect. And just like Erick's experience where he was shown and told you make the real connection here, it's very important. You see how people develop their attitudes here, and the focus is very important. And so seeing people that go to the real side, and anyone can experience this, to where they take their attitudes with them. And many people think they're going to go to some lovely heavenly place. Well, they can, but again, they're just lost in the appearances of things, and they will eventually, just like water runs downhill, they come back and they start again. And this is a window of opportunity right now. And how long it lasts, we'll see. Who shows up, etc. And just like when Paul was here, that was the window of opportunity. And as soon as he left, there was the infiltrators. They took over. You see it today. It's all reptilians. This is what happens. Just like the United States of America, which we call that, well, actually it's America, the United States Corporation. But when the indigenous people were here, it was of a particular, well, then the Europeans came over, infiltrated, and what do we have today? Everything is poisoned and polluted. And so again, there's a small window of opportunity here. So as people, as you people and others, you activate this with others, you take the risk, you create something. If it's through Facebook, or especially going out there and meeting the public, etc., it's very important. We're getting the world ready for a bigger wake up, but they got to recognize it. And so there's a lot more to this, but I'll let it go.